Welcome to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hey guys, good to see everyone back for another episode of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. I'm Brie, Gabrielle, and this of course is Captain Rick Murphy. And today we are talking all about bass, isn't that right, Rick?
You're absolutely right, Brie. The cool part about bass in Florida is that we have two different kinds. We have actually more than that. We have the largemouth bass, we also have peacock bass, and then in a few places we have striped bass. So it's kind of cool. We got a bass expert to talk to us about it a little later in the show, but we got to keep moving.
We gotta go. All right, let's welcome Dave Farrell to the show. Over at the workbench, good to see your friendly face back.
I know a little bit about bass fishing.
A little bit?
I know a little bit. I was trying to catch some last night and ran out of film on my card.
And he didn't.
Yeah. Caught a bunch of bass, just didn't get the good film.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Rick, after our crazy tarpon episode last week, we're switching gears a little bit this week and talking about bass.
That's right. So let's take a look at the Sports Fishing Magazine's photos. We got Doug Orlander, the editor of Sports Fishing, with a nice big largemouth, as well as the second bass that we have is Doug again. So obviously he must be Sports Fishing's bass expert. Beautiful fish, looks like the St. John's area, not quite sure. And then the third one is certainly the peacock bass, and this is one of Colin's buddies, Bryce, and I gotta tell you, cool peacock. Love seeing the young kids out fishing. Go get them, guys, and great to see you here on the Chevy Fishing Report.
Like his shoes. All right, to get the night started right, let's check in with our favorite captain from the East region, Mike Holliday, who gives a kick-butt bass report every week where the motherlode of bass fishing in Florida happens, the one and only Lake Okeechobee. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Brie, how are you? That was a mouthful there.
Yeah, I know, just getting you started.
This is Florida, which means it could start raining, and you can wait for a puddle to form and catch a bass out of it. If it's got water, it's got bass. And if you like to fish the bigger bodies of water in my region, then that Lake Ida, Lake Osborne chain in Palm Beach County, that's got some great bass fishing right now around the bridges and docks, as well as out in the lily pad fields. And shad are really abundant in those lakes, so a lipless crankbait in blue and silver, that's going to be the way to go to mimic those shad. For land-based anglers, we have the Savannah's Recreation Area in Fort Pierce, the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge piers at their headquarters and also at 20 Mile Bend. And there's a pier out on Lake Okeechobee, that just gives you access to historic bass fisheries in Florida. Then again, just about any backyard canal or lake has fish, including, golf course ponds and the drainage ponds for shopping centers. In Florida, pretty hard to beat a June bug or red shad colored worm rig Texas style or live shiner. Now let's talk about Lake Okeechobee. That's one of the top 10 bass fishing locations in the country, with anglers averaging 30 to 50 fish a day on lures and double that number on bait. On the northwest side of the lake, the fish have been schooling and chasing shad in the cuts in the grass right at first light. The other option is to fish at first light around Observation Shoal, throwing die dappers or logger toads into the potholes way up in that shallow Kissimmee grass. That's where the bluegill are spawning. And lastly, you can fish the potholes in the hydrilla around the Harney Pond Canal. Midday, you want to move to the outside grass lines and deeper water and switch over to an 8-inch June bug colored worm rig Texas style.
All right, Mike, before we go inshore, I want to take a look at the Navionics, and it's actually the same general area you were just talking about. So we're talking about the Harney Pond Canal, which is right here in the northwest corner of the lake. Now, exactly how you described it is exactly the map that we have here. We have all the different vegetation in the north corner of the lake, but you have shallow grass flats that the fish get in early in the morning because of cool water temperature. As the day falls or gets warmer, the fish are gonna fall out. You'll find them out here on these edges in 7 to 8 and 9, 10 feet of water. So guys, keep that in mind as you get into these summer patterns. All right, Mike, what do you have for us inshore?
Well, we're seeing some really big sea trout this week from two areas of the Indian River. The West Bank dock line from Midway Road north to Savannah Road, and also on the east side of the river from Queens Cove north to the moorings flat. The fish are up tight against the shore at high tide, and they're out in the open, deeper potholes during the low tide. We're getting some real low tides, so watch for those potholes. Look for the schools of mullet. A lot of the big fish are coming around the mullet, and that's where Captain Ed Zayak had 3 trout this week over 30 inches. And we're also sort of right in the middle of that sea trout spawn, and that's got those big fish up in the shallows looking for bait fish with a high fat content. Remember that, not shrimp, bait fish. That means mullet, pilchard, sand perch. They're going to be your top baits, either free-lined or fished under a popping cork with a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader, a 3.0 VMC Kale hook, and just a cork on top of it. You can also fish topwater plugs, dye dappers, or a Texas shad in that Texas roach color for the big fish. And then for the school fish, a 4-inch drunk monkey or Houdini colored sea shad. Throw it in the potholes in 3 to 4 feet of water. I'll get plenty of fish. I got a photo just to show you some of the big fish. That's Jason Arman. He caught that 32-inch sea trout on electric chicken-colored bass assassin shad, and he caught that on the west side of the Indian River.
All right, let's go offshore, Mike.
Well, bottom fishing is the most consistent thing going in blue water right now. Good showings of mangrove and mutton snappers throughout the region. The fish are holding on the reefs in anywhere from 60 to 110 feet of water. Places like the 6 Mile Reef, the Loran Tower Ledge, and the High Bar in Jupiter are holding good concentrations of fish. There's also been some really big fish coming out of southern Palm Beach County and a fair mix of yellowtails in that snapper aggregate off Palm Beach County. To the north, it's mostly muttons and mangroves. Target the snapper with 20 to 30-pound tackle, a 40-pound fluorocarbon leader, and 4.0 to 6.0 VMC circle hook. And you can use a variety of baits from, bonita strips to live or dead sardines or cigar minnows. And don't even overlook a squid or a chunk of squid is an option, particularly if you're going to be fishing at night. Average mangrove snapper is going to be 1 to 5 pounds, average mutton 3 to 10, and the average yellowtail is going to be 1 to 2 pounds. The other bite going on, the dolphin bite's been sort of scattered, but also sort of consistent, which is all you can really ask for going into the summer. It seems like the boat's getting an early start of the ones that are getting the bites on the weed lines. And then about 9 a.m., it gets down to that arbitrary fish out in open water or finding something floating or locating diving birds. This is a time of year you want to cover a lot of water, and you do that by trolling strips and feathers and having pitch rods ready for when you encounter the schooling fish. Last week, most of the dolphin action I've heard about has been shallow in, say, 70 to 150 feet of water, which to me seems to indicate that we're getting a back eddy from the Gulf Stream pushing clear water closer to shore. We see a lot of that right in early June. That's also where the bait schools have been. So that's where the dolphins seem to be. The average fish are 3 to 10 pounds. A lot of fish in the 20-pound class and larger caught this week.
All right, great report, Mike. Thanks. We're going to go ahead and look at the East Region hotspots brought to you by waterwaycafe.com. Inshore snook on the outgoing tide at the St. Lucie Inlet, live pinfish, pilchards, and 4-inch copper juice colored sea shads is going to work best. And then offshore, cobia along the beaches and nearshore reefs and wrecks in Martin County. Live sardines, threadfins, whole squid, or chartreuse jigs. Brie is going to catch those cold.
Thank goodness for those jigs. Okay, when you think of fishing in the Keys, you may not think of fishing for bass, but our Captain Randy Tao can tell you where you can get it done. Hi, Randy.
Hey, good evening, fish fans. I'll tell you what, the bass aren't a real big draw to the Keys, but we do have them, and they're really north of us. They're more like Homestead. The 18-mile stretch Aerojet Canal is a good place, both for largemouth and for some peacocks. But one of the most popular places that most of the guys go is the State Road 9336, which is the road that takes you out to Flamingo. And along this road, you're going to come across small little ponds, 9 Mile Pond, for example, West Lake, and there's quite a few of these smaller areas that you're going to pass right by. You can put a kayak in, you can put a john boat in. Now, all of these little ponds are no motor zones, so you're going to have to paddle around or electric trolling motor in these areas. They're not real big, but they hold some nice fish, and a lot of guys that just want something to do that's different. Actually, some of the guys from the Keys take a busman's holiday, and they go up and they go bass fishing. So we do have bass, just not really in the Isla Mirada Keys area, but that fishing up there is pretty decent from the guys that I talk to that do it. Our tarpon fishing right now, it's amazing what a week difference makes in our weather. It was windy, it was ugly. Now it got calm and nice and pretty, and the gates really opened up on some great tarpon fishing throughout the Keys. Locally, a lot of tarpon around the bridges. There's not many in our back country right now, and it might be due to the number of fish that are congregating around Bahia Honda and the Key West area. I did hear of a worm hatch a couple of days ago off Bahia Honda on the rising tide in the middle of the day, which is kind of unusual for a worm hatch. Normally it's on an outgoing tide in the evening, which we may experience on this new moon we're about to have. But I also talked to Captain Bruce Cronin out of Key West, one of the local guys down there for many years. He said his tarpon fishing in Key West for the last couple of weeks have been some of the best he's seen in a long time. And I'm hoping that that body of fish, when it moves out of Key West, it'll head up to our backcountry, and we're going to have some really good fishing in the next month around the Flamingo area.
All right, let's go offshore there, Randy.
You know, yellowtails are a real popular thing. Everybody likes to fish for them, and it's condition-driven. If you have the condition where the current's going behind the boat, you got a strong chance of catching yellowtails. You want to anchor in about 40 to 70 feet of water, get your chum started. And what I like to do is just be patient. I don't like to put lines in the water and get fishing right away. Let your chum work for you. Let these fish get behind the boat and get comfortable. And then take your spinning rod, no more than about 12-pound test, with a 32-ounce hookup jig. It's pretty small, just a tiny bit of lead. With any kind of strip bait, like a piece of ballyhoo or a piece of bonita, drift it back in your slick, and you're going to do real good on these yellowtails. And that's been a popular thing right now if you have the current. The current is key. If the current's going up the anchor rope or you don't have any current, don't waste your time. You want to go look for something else.
All right, what else are you going to go look for? Maybe some swordfish?
You know, one of my favorite things to do, and I'm not the only one, the conditions have been nice and calm, and guys are getting offshore. They're dolphin fishing. It's that time of year. And if you're 20 miles offshore and you're in that area where the swordfish live, that 14, 15, 1,600 feet of water, a lot of guys drop down and they do a swordfish drop middle of the day to break up their dolphin fishing. And Captain Nick Stanzik out of Bud Mary's on the B&M, certainly one of the best at doing this during the day. He spends a lot of time doing it. He's very, very good at it, very successful. I've got a photograph of a pair of swordfish they caught a couple of days ago. His anglers, Blair Howard from Lake Mary, his nephew Blair from Pensacola, and Colby Mason with a pair of real nice swordfish they caught doing that daytime dropping.
Wow, that's good stuff there, Randy. Great report tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the La Jolla hotspots from the Florida Keys region. And Captain Randy says that you want to go inshore tarpon fishing early morning, late evening with crabs or mullet around the bridges. Fly fishing, look for the oceanside big schools migrating south during the middle of the day. And then offshore dolphins start trolling as soon as you see weeds and small baits under them. Okay, and then you're going to watch for the birds located, the big one. The big one.
Whisper that.
Look for the big one.
Okay.
Under the bird.
Well, now it's time to tell you about some tournaments in the Florida Keys. The 3rd annual Ladies Dolphin Tournament, scheduled for this Saturday in Key West, features more than $10,000 in cash and prizes. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Fishing Tournament, scheduled for June 7th in Key West, offers cash prizes for dolphin, wahoo, snapper, and grouper, along with prizes for heaviest fish by a lady angler and heaviest fish by a junior angler. The prestigious Gold Cup Tarpon Tournament, set for June 16th through the 20th in Isla Mirada, was founded by baseball great and avid fly fisherman Ted Williams. The tournament benefits children's charities in the Keys. And more than $15,000 is up for grabs at the Key West Gator Club Dolphin Derby, scheduled for June 20th to the 22nd in Key West. The tournament is a scholarship fundraiser for local students attending the University of Florida. And now, of course, we have Andy Newman on the line with more info on tournaments in the Keys.
Hi guys, and today we have another featured dolphin tournament to talk about. It's the Ladies Dolphin Tournament. Friday and Saturday, June 6th and 7th. It's based at the Florida Keys Elks Lodge in Tavernier. Now, the competition's first day features a free family fun day. There's educational and entertaining events for junior anglers, including casting contests, fishing seminar, even a bounce house for kids. Saturday, the main fishing day. There's more than $6,500 in cash awards. There's also merchandise prizes for the top 10 teams, and a gorgeous dolphin pennant will go to the lady who catches the largest dolphin. Much more information, Florida Keys Elks 1872.com. And as always, more details on other tournaments and accommodations in the Florida Keys, it's flakeys.com.
All right, great job, Andy. Now we're going to go to Paul Casanova from the Paul and Young Ron Show and Brandon Fields, the pro punter for the Miami Dolphins. And guys, we're talking about Fins Weekend. We have been for a couple weeks. Now, I want to ask you, what does it mean as a pro bowler to actually come out and see all your fans and, more importantly, enjoy some good fishing?
It's a great opportunity for myself and all my teammates to spend some great time with all our great fans down here in South Florida.
Now, Brandon, you've been fishing the tournament for quite some time now.
Got seasick last year.
You got a second role. You got a second role in actually doing a little bit of weighing in. Tell me
Yes,
some of
sir.
the fish you've seen weighed in.
I've become the unofficial weighmaster the last few years, so seen some pretty big tuna and some gorgeous mahi.
Now, if guys want to come out and they want to see some of those fish being weighed in, how and when can they do that?
I will be down there starting around 3 o'clock down in on the pier.
At Miami Beach
At
Marina?
Miami Beach Marina. And boats will be rolling in around then for the next couple hours. They're pretty much staggered, so even if you get there a little late, or if you just want to get there and stay just for a little bit, you know, please send you action.
Paul, you've been involved with the tournament a long time. Tell me why Finn's Weekend is so important to you.
Started out 17 years ago fishing the tournament, and I got there and I realized it was a charity. I knew that, but you know, I'm a fisherman my whole life,
Right.
South Florida kid, and I got out there and I realized, you know, I'm a radio guy. I could be a part of this thing. They invited me to be co-chairman.
Right.
17 years later, we've raised a heck of a lot of money for cystic fibrosis. The Miami Dolphin Foundation spreads the money to a lot of great charities like cancer.
So let me ask you, any funny stories you can remember?
Greatest ever. Former quarterback Sage Rosenfels was so seasick one year that he paid the captain to pull him over towards Key Biscayne and let him swim in. He radioed somebody before he left, said, "I can't take it. Get me in." And he swam in. Could have been a disaster.
Now, Paul, if somebody wants to come out, whether it's the golf tournament, whether it's the party on Friday night, or they want to come out to the tournament, how do they find out more
Real
about
simple. Just go to MiamiDolphins.com or FinnsWeekend.com. We'd love to have you. The party Friday night is second to none on South Beach. Saturday night, the awards banquet. I'm your host. Come on.
it? All right, guys, listen, it's going to be certainly June 5th and June 6th, and then obviously the tournament is going to be on June 7th from 8 to 4 p.m. Guys, come out and see us. The fishing awards ceremony and banquet obviously starts at 6 o'clock. And you'll be there, Paul.
You're my
keeping
hero,
us
Rick.
all straight.
You're the man.
You're my hero. Thank you so much.
Thank
Keep
you.
punting long.
Yeah.
Long, that's what we want. Speaking of long, we got long legs leaning over there on the dock. And Brie, I need you to take it away.
You're just something, Mr. Rick. Good God. It's good to have these dolphin dudes on the show every week. All right, we've uncovered some great bass fishing secrets so far, so don't go away. We'll be right back with the Northeast region. Plus, we are going off the deep end with Dave, only on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
Gonna get froggy.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy. Find new roads. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. Yeti Coolers. Wildly stronger. Keep ice longer. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 25 years. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation. Humminbird. Simply, clearly, better. And King Sailfish Mounts. www.kingsailfish.com.
The Chevrolet Cruze, loved in 119 countries around the world. Proof we're not so different after all. It's the new world.
Yamaha's next generation V6 4-strokes are changing the game.
Mid-range power was awesome.
Fuel, the burn, it's unbelievable.
Couldn't believe the speed and the fuel economy is pretty impressive.
I mean, I couldn't believe the power. It was like it was more like doing a quarter mile on a drag strip.
And them things are like, it's a whole nother game. So I made the switch.
Experience the difference for yourself during the Yamaha Discover V6 Offshore Demo Tour. See why we call it the Game Changer.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
Now it's time to go over the news and the notes from the FWC. May 31st, there's the Kids Fishing Clinic in Fernandina. June 7th is the Women's Fishing Clinic in St. Pete. And June 14th is another Kids Fishing Clinic in St. Pete. For more information and events, you can go to myfwc.com. Now it's time to go off the deep end.
Hummingbirds off the deep end, Dave. As you know, it happens right here at the Jägermeister Workbench.
Talking about bass fishing.
Each and every week. Glad to have you back. I know you weren't here last week, but
I was in the DR and the white marlins and the blue marlins were snapping. Oh. It was good. It was good. But anyway, we're talking about bass fishing. And as much marlin fishing as I get to do, I go bass fishing almost every day. Wow. Almost every day. I'm fortunate. I live in Central Florida, which is like the bass capital of the world. I got a lake in my backyard. I have a house on a chain of 5 really clear, good lakes. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to locate bass and how you get started. Now, first off, you know, bass are an ambush predators. They're going to be eating like crustaceans, bugs, shrimp, anything that falls in the water that's moving. They're going to want to eat it. And if it's smaller than they are, they've never seen anything moving that they couldn't eat. So any small things that are moving is what we're looking for. Now, in a lot of the lakes in Florida, we got the shad, and you've heard all these guys talking about the shad. So my favorite bait when I first start off fishing is I go, because when I get there early in the morning, I go for the chug bug. And this is the chug bug and the Tennessee shad. And you feel this guy, he's been tore to pieces. I was in the middle of like 7 or 8 bass a big school of bass, and I caught 7 fish in like 5 minutes because they were just crushing the shad. And if you use a shad bait like one of these, or it's very sharp, or one of these shad wraps to troll with and or cast with to cover ground when you first start fishing, that's a good way to get into the bites. Once you say, hey, I'm starting to get bites on that, then you slow down. It's just like marlin fishing where you'll troll fast to get a bite, and then you'll start to slow down. And then if you want to, you can start throwing more crankbaits. The gold spoon, believe it or not, although it works in salt water, everything eats it. Bass love this gold spoon. They have not stopped eating that spoon. Guys have stopped throwing it, but they still eat it.
I see you got lots of plastics, lots of rubbers.
Exactly. Once you find that a body of fish or a nice ledge that's holding fish, then you throw out the soft baits because you're working an area slowly. The big bugs, any of the swim baits. My buddy Mark Bedzinski throws this Zoom pumpkin seed green to great effect. He even rigs it one of those old style worm hooks. Yeah. He crushes the bass with that. I prefer a lot of action, so I like to throw the frog. And I also like to use the chug bug and or a spoon or a crankbait because I just hate working stuff real slow. I gotta be moving all the time.
It kind of goes with the ADD.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right. in the summertime or in the wintertime, in the summertime you want to use stuff that is moving fast. In the wintertime you want to slow it down. If it's real hot in the summertime, you also want to slow things down and start working on the bottom. That's the time to use a big bug style bait. A rubber bait that you can work on the bottom with a jig head. Exactly. And you're going to want to use the same spinning stuff that you use in salt water. Light braid, 30-pound or under braid, which is very thin diameter, and we use a fluorocarbon leader.
I was going to ask you, do you tie on a fluorocarbon leader?
Always. Especially in the clear lakes in Florida. If you're in tannic water, you probably don't need that, and you'd want to use a very a bright bait, a chartreuse, a spinning bait. Like a lot of the lakes in Florida have really dark water, and a spinner bait is also another one of those baits that's perfect for prospecting, and also it has a lot of flash, and more importantly, a lot of vibration and feel.
Right.
Like a rattle trap also is a good bait for that too, because it rattles and
that lateral line.
It makes a lot of motion in the water. Also, old topwater bait that works good in the morning is a Zara Spook. Also works for trout and redfish. But
walking the dog, baby.
That thing was made for bass. That's how it started. So, I love to use topwater plugs. I might not get as many bites, but I usually catch bigger fish, and the bite is just great to watch. I'd rather watch them try to eat that thing 10 times than catch 10 where I can't see them eat.
That's why you like catching them big blue marlins.
I do. I just like to watch them eat, man. I don't care if we reel them in.
Glad to have you back.
All right, I'm glad to be back.
Hey, Brie, we got to switch gears and got to go to another region, so take us away.
It's Sure is good to have Dave back. Oh, goodness. Okay, guys, we have Captain Russell Farron on the line from the Northeast region, where its rivers and lakes make for some perfect bass fishing. Right, Russ?
That sure is right, Brie, and we have some great bass fishing here in Northeast Florida. And, you know, moms and dads, take your young sons and daughters bass fishing. You know, it's fun, it's safe, and it's extremely convenient. You know, you can fish our many rivers, lakes, and creeks here in Northeast Florida. Some of the best ways and fun ways to bass fish is by looking for the schooling bass in the St. Johns River, especially in the fall. Now, what you want to look for is on the south sides of the points in the St. Johns between 6 and 10 foot of water on the outgoing tide, and watch for schools of menhaden and diving gulls. That'll give you an idea where the schooling bass are located. Another great way, just like Dave was talking, that I certainly enjoy, is to fish with top water plugs for bass, especially at sunrise and sunset. Now, what you want to do is work along the eelgrass beds at low tide, and especially on outgoing low tide. The typical size bass in our area, of course, can run anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds. And got a great picture here coming up. This is a young angler, Austin Parker from Jacksonville, with a monster 9-pound bass that he landed. Austin said that's been the biggest bass that he's had, that he's ever caught. You know, so that's really good. Way to go, Austin. All right, staying inshore, I want to talk about the trout fishing over the Memorial Weekend last weekend, and also what's coming up this weekend is going to be good for the sea trout. Now, the best bite is definitely coming at daylight and at sunset. And what you want to do this time when it's, you know, June, here it is warming up now, start fishing at least about 45 minutes to an hour before sunrise. Now, I personally like to use top water plugs, or you can use jigs with a very slow retrieve. Now, the sea trout will be located in 2 to 4 foot of water where the water is clear. And, of course, you want to keep an eye open for some bait, especially schools of mullet. Great spots to target. The trout are going to be in Salt Run near St. Augustine and the mouth of Simpson Creek in Nassau Sound. Surf fishermen also can take advantage of the early morning trout bite. Some of the best locations in the south are like the south end of Amelia Island. There's great places down at what they call Dolphin Point. Also down at Matanzas Inlet has some great surf fishing, especially with the bait that's in the surf. Early in the morning is going to be the key. Some of the best lures that make a lot of noise in that surf and catching those big trout will definitely come from a topwater plug like a Rapple or Skitterwalk. Typical size of the trout are going to be anywhere from 1 to 4 pounds.
Let's go offshore, Russell. Oh, tell me about the photo. I'm sorry, the photo of the sea trout. Sorry.
Yes, sir. This is a great friend of mine that I was able to fish over Memorial Weekend, former Navy SEAL and sales manager at Ron Anderson Chevrolet, Warren Miller. Warren caught 2 of these great big gator trout behind Amelia Island on a Rapple or Skitterwalk in the trout pattern. Moving offshore, Rick, I certainly want to tell you about the dolphin fishing. Now, you either want to go out with either Captain Robert Johnson with the Jody Lynn Charters or the Captain Bill Huntsinker from Endless Summers Charters out of St. Augustine. They are 2 of the best offshore charter captains in Northeast Florida, and they can put you on the Dolphin. Now, the Dolphin are running in 160 to 1,000 foot of water, and the captains look for flying fish, weed lines, grass lines, tide lines with temperature breaks. Both the captains like to slow troll with sea witch and lures, or blue and white islander lures, and use skirted ballyhoo with about 8 feet of about 100-pound test monofilament line to leaders to get the bite. The typical dolphin are going to run anywhere from 15 to 20 pounds. And Rick, the blacktip sharks, spinnaker sharks, lemon sharks, they're all over hammerheads. They're all over the shrimp boats. The sharks are everywhere in the surf and around the bait pods. And, of course, like I just said, they're stacked up on the shrimp boats. Be sure to use a medium-heavier rod with at least about a 4-hour reel loaded with 350 yards of line, 50-pound test, and just add a swivel and some wire, 8-aught VMC circle hook. Now, what you want to use is fresh-cut bait to fish for sharks, and, of course, hold on. The sharks are going to be running anywhere from 30 to 150 pounds. And, Rick, one last note. Please, I want to tell everybody to invest into the CCA Florida and become a life member.
All right, great report from the CCA Northeast Region. Russell, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. Captain Russell says inshore, sight fish, redfish at first light during the low tide along the ICW feeder creeks and mud flats. And then offshore, dolphin, 160 out to 1,000 feet of water, and look for flying fish, temperature breaks, tide and grass lines, and troll ballyhoo.
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 All right, when we return...
Naked ballyhoo.
Naked ballyhoo. When we return, the FWC is here to talk to us about the new proposed bass regulations, and then we'll check in with the Panhandle and Central West region. So don't go away. Right, Rich?
That's right.
Don't leave us.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Blue Water Outriggers, everything for your outdoor adventures. Guy Harvey Clothing by AFTCO. Croquis, made in the USA. Drummond Community Bank. Costa, see what's out there. And Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala.
What is CCA? CCA has been representing recreational fishermen for over 25 years, and when your rights to fish are threatened, the CCA is there to make sure government regulators are making sound decisions. I'm a life member of CCA, and when fishery decisions are being made, the CCA in the room is fighting for our recreational rights. We need to give our kids the same opportunities to fish as we did. Do what I did. Go to ccaflorida.org and join for only $25 so you can protect your recreational angling rights.
Hi, I'm Harold Bennett. My dad started Bennett Auto Supply over 57 years ago. Things have changed since then. We've grown to 33 stores and opened a 93,000 square foot distribution center. But one thing has stayed the same, our focus on the customer. That's why we have the most knowledgeable parts specialists in the business, and we only offer quality auto parts at the guaranteed lowest prices. The next time you need anything for your vehicle, think Bennett Auto Supply. Best parts, best prices, Bennett Auto Supply.
A man and his truck, and tofu, and veggie burgers, and raw kale salads. All fine, just not today.
Whatever you do.
Introducing High Country, the premium Silverado.
Do it good.
Silverado, 2014 North American Truck of the Year.
Hey everyone, don't forget about our contest sponsored by Bennett Auto Supply. Bennett's Catch a Big One will give 4 lucky winners a chance to go on a fishing charter with captains from our show and take home a lovely prize pack full of Guy Harvey by AFTCO clothing, some turvises, some hats, just awesome Insider Fishing Report gear. And remember, you can only enter through our website at ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. And if it were me, I would do it right this second.
All right, now we're here with Alan Martin, FWC biologist, regional biologist, and administrator. Now, Alan, we haven't talked about bass in a long time as far as rules and regulations. So let's talk about what the state's got going on right now as far as they're proposed.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we worked with our anglers and our stakeholders and developed a black bass management plan. And one of the things that came out of that was a need to look at our bass regulations. We haven't done that in a long time. And so we've worked and reviewed biological data and done some surveys, found out what people wanted, and we've put together a proposed regulation change across the state. And so what we're proposing is a statewide 5-fish bag limit.
Yeah, let's take a look at the graphics with the 5 fish as well as the ruler. So what is the new proposed changes?
So the proposed change is it'll still be a 5-fish bag limit, but of those 5 fish that you can keep each day, only one of those can be 16 inches or longer. And so you can keep 4 fish under 16 and 1 16 or longer, or you can keep 5 under 16.
All right, so tell me why we would want to make a change.
Well, a couple things came out of that. First of all, we want to kind of simplify our regulations. We currently have 3 zones across the state, and this will be 1 zone across the state. A lot of our special regulations on lakes would kind of go away and go to this. It would function the same biologically, and that'd simplify things for a lot of people. It also would open things up, give some more opportunities for harvest in certain parts of the state, and it would kind of shift that harvest a little bit to more males. The smaller fish are males. The males don't get as big, and the bigger fish are usually your females, our trophies, our potential trophies. It would provide a little bit more protection for them. So, you know, people will be keeping those smaller fish. It's a little bit better to eat in areas where mercury is a concern. And we're also trying to change that culture. It's sort of a unofficial FWC 3 steps to managing for trophy bass. You know, it's okay to keep some of those small fish. If you want to keep one bigger one, a fish of a lifetime, that's good that you can do that. You can kind of pick what size you want. And then if you catch one over 8 pounds, a really big fish, we'll even, you know, provide you a lot of rewards for our trophy catch program if you photo document that fish and release it.
Tell me about the website that we can go to potentially fill out the survey and see what else is happening.
Yeah, if you go to our webpage, you can go to the myfwc.com/fishing. There's a little speak out on bass rules link there you can click, and the full proposal, all the background data and all of our survey data is on there. You can read all you want on that and go in, take our survey. We're looking for input on this proposal, see if people like it, or, you know, if they think we should change it a little bit. We definitely want that input.
Alan, great job. Thank you for informing us here at the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. But we got some more things to inform our viewers about. So, Brie, what region are we going to next?
We got stuff to do, Rick. Thanks you, Alan, for being here. Okay, let's go on over to the Panhandle region where Captain Pat Deneen is waiting to tell you all about the bass bite and more. Hey, Pat.
Brie, Lake Seminole is the place to be for bass fishing in the Panhandle right now. You're getting 5-fish stringers weighing 15 to 18 pounds. The water's still a bit muddy from all the rain ago, but areas of the lake are still are clear, particularly over on the east side near the RV park in Chattahoochee. Focus on these clear areas, and the best bite has been using a man's frankentoad or a brush hog plastic bait. The water level in the rivers are starting to get back to normal, and the bite there for bass is picking up, and they're catching them on spinner baits. And there's also plenty of golf course ponds throughout the Panhandle, especially along the coast, and a lot of them provide exceptional bass fishing using purple or black plastic worms. February to April time frame is the best for bass fishing, but during the hot summer months that we're looking at, early morning or late in the afternoon is the time to go. Moving in the saltwater, the triple tail are showing up in good numbers in Apalachicola Bay, in the bay system and its passes. Look for them hanging out around the crab pot buoys, particularly on the north side of the bay between Apalachicola and Indian Pass. But also you're going to find them around the channel markers running east to west through the middle of the bay. And then you'll find free swimmers in West Pass and Indian Pass. A live shrimp or peanut pokey under popping cork's the way to go. And fish up to and over 15 pounds are possible. So medium to medium heavy spinning gear is pretty much what you want to use, especially around those markers and buoys.
All right, let's go offshore.
What's going on?
I'm aggravating Brie.
Red snapper, Rick, offshore. The season opened in state waters last weekend, and there's a lot of snappers coming to the docks, and it opens on federal waters on June 1st. You can catch them on pretty much most of the man-made and natural structure in 60-plus feet of water. A popular setup is a slip sinker rig with 4 to 7 feet of 40-pound fluorocarbon, a 4 to 6-aught circle hook, and baited it up with a live cigar minnow, a herring, or some other small bait fish. And then the red snappers and the black snappers, they respond real well to chumming, and you can get them up right to the surface where you can free line on bait. The average size fish are running 4 to 6 pounds. There's quite a few 12 to 18 pounders hitting the dock. And there's a photo I sent in of Kirk Coward from Arkansas, and that's a nice fat snapper he caught with me Monday by chumming the fish to the surface and free lining a cut bait. Right. And then finally offshore, this past week a bunch of cobia have been caught on the nearshore wrecks and fads. No real big fish, but plenty of 20 to 30 pounders. 2 of the past 5 days, we caught some while free lining the cigar minnow over the barges. But the best catches are definitely coming off of the fads. And if you run the Gulf in the morning, 2 to 3 miles offshore, you see bait schools and a little ball out on the surface out in 80 foot of water. There's a good chance there's a fad there, so it pays a good idea to stop and check it out and see what you got going on there, and you might get a bonus fish. And that's what happened with Russell Chiodo with a nice bonus blackfin tuna he picked up by free lining a cigar minnow over a wreck a couple miles offshore.
All right, great report, Pat. Thanks so much. Here are the Blue Water Outrigger hotspots from the Panhandle region. Captain Pat says inshore, big speckled trout in the lower Pensacola Bay, sounds, and lagoons in the shallow water using mirror lures, mirror dines, and live croakers. And then offshore, scamps and vermilion snappers on live bottom in 150 to 190 feet of water using cut bait or strips.
You thought that was funny, Rick?
I did. Anytime that I get to tease you and aggravate you is perfect.
Right. That's mutual. Okay, let's see what Captain Jeff Page in the Central West region has to say about bass on the west side. Take it away, Jeff.
Well, you know, in our Starbright Central West region, we have a variety of freshwater bass venues in my area. But the thing that I always am jealous about, especially in Ronnie and Rick's region, is those guys can be in their flats boat, saltwater fishing, and then they can just kick it on in a few notches, inland into the backcountry, and they can be catching bass. And that's just a special, special thing to have that. And that's what's so neat about the state of Florida. But anyway, back to my region, we have 2 accessible lakes on the Mayaca State Park compound, which is just east of Sarasota. One of them being the Upper Lake, which you can drive your car almost right up to the edge of the lake. And then you can rent canoes. You can bring your own canoe. You can bring your own kayak. You can bring your own little motorboat. Or you can just walk around the perimeter of the lake like a lot of people do. And there's lots of different ways you can catch the bass there. Then they have the Lower Lake, which you can take a boat down the Mayaca River to if it's not choked off with hyacinth. Or you can take a little hike and then end up wading in the lake, which we used to do back in the good old days. Other areas in our region, Lake Manatee, as well as the Braden River to the north, and then down to the south we have the Peace and the Mayaca River, which wind its way all the way out into Charlotte Harbor, but there's lots of good bass fishing along it. Out east we have Lake Placid, Lake Parrish, and then of course Lake Istapoga, as well as lots of small neighborhood ponds, I-75 lakes. Baits that work real well, one of the old standbys, Rick, the original Rapala Finnish minnow in silver and black or gold and black. They're a great hard bait, as well as the new live target frog. And then in soft plastics, the Bass Assassin 7-inch worm in motor oil or June bug are a tough bait to beat. Rig 'em weedless on a 4-0 worm hook with a slide weight in front of it. And then for you live bait guys, there's only one way to go, and that's a wild shiner, and you can cork him or let him swim free, just depending on how much cover there is on the lake. Remember one thing, folks. Your saltwater fishing license does not include any of our freshwater bodies of water in my region, so I suggest if you be a resident, next time you renew your license, get the freshwater saltwater combo for $33. It saves you like $1.50, $2. And I've got a couple real nice bass photos tonight. First, 8-year-old Landon Ford, whose dad is Doug Ford, works at CB's, and he's also our chapter, CCA chapter's president, with a nice 7-pounder that he got on a Senko worm. And then second is Buddy Bullard of Ocala with a real nice couple bass that he caught on the topwater Devil Horse.
All right, Jeffrey, you got to go quickly. Long time on bass.
Tarpon species, too. This week's new moon has kicked up the tarpon bite to an entire new level with fish all over the place. Early morning beach fishing's going strong to the north part of the region. From Venice to St. Pete, live crabs or threadfins, best bet. Quite a few being taken on fly as well. You know the deal, dark fly in the morning. The afternoon outgoing tide's been awesome, too, this week with lots of fish coming in from Egmont Pass as well as Boca Grande Pass.
Offshore.
In a nutshell, the tarpon fishing's really good.
Let's go offshore.
Rolling offshore, permit fishing. The reef permit bite is taking off this week with our Central West region water temperature staying above 80. Look for the permits holding on wrecks and reefs in as close as 3 miles, Rick, and then on out. The Key's been having decent calm morning, east wind, and some sunshine to see these fish laid up on top. Can't beat having a live crab. The reefs off Englewood to Venice seem to be the zip code, and the 9-mile range seems to be the distance. Got a photo tonight of Mike Bowser of Carl Black Chevrolet with a real nice permit he got with Captain Jason Sherrill.
All right,
Species
what else?
2,
Go ahead.
Species 2, mangrove snapper. Nice mangs holding on the reefs and ledges and hard bottom in as close as 70 feet. That seems to be the number this week. Real strong between Sarasota and Englewood. Chum lightly and bring a mix of chunk sardines and shrimp. Get them in quick because the man in the gray suit, the shark, has been eating them on the way up just as well as he's been eating the tarpons.
All right, great.
Anyway,
Go
don't
ahead.
forget to get y'all a Chevy truck and tight lines, everybody.
All right, good job, Jeffrey. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Tires Plus hotspots from the Central West region. Captain Jeffrey says inshore snook, lots of them catch and release snook in the inlets and the passes on the afternoon outgoing tide. Free line, pilchards, or shrimp is the best bet. And then offshore permit. Good in the morning. Permit bite is on the M Reef and 9 to 11 mile range at free line. A crab is going to really work well for those permits.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
Okay, coming up, you're going to hear all about some new products Dave has for us at the Jägermeister workbench and what our captain in the Southwest region has to say only on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by the Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Hookup Lures, premium lures for serious anglers. FWC, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Guy Harvey, artist, explorer, marine scientist, conservationist, diver, and fisherman. La Jolla Resort, a place for family and fishermen. Maverick Boat Company, makers of premium boat brands, Maverick, Hughes, and Pathfinder. Navionics, we start where the road ends.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
Oh, there he is. Hey, you! Yeah. Fat boy, you can't get none of this. Look at me. I got moves. I go man, I go right, I go left again. Watch it. Oh, there it is. Psych! I'm so erratic, I don't even know where I'm going. Come on, Chubby Cheeks. Come on, Bucket Mouth. Come get some of this. I can do this all day long. Look at me. Watch this. Come on. Your mama's so fat that she can't get out the fish net. Ow! All right, I'll give you that one.
Well, welcome back to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, the Jägermeister workbench, new products. It's all about you right now, Dave. So tell me what is
it's all about
happening.
the products, actually, Rick,
Okay.
is what it's about. First off, we got these things called cooler webs. The guy, Mike Ortega, he makes the tackle webs that you see all over. The guys use them on their towers and whatnot to put gear. Well, this is his cooler web product, and what this does, this goes inside of the top of your cooler, and it keeps all your stuff that you don't want to get in the water out of the water. You know, it goes.
So you
on
could
the
put your
inside.
sandwich in there?
You could put all the dry stuff that you want to stay out of the cooler, out of the ice, and this goes into the top. You know,
Yeah,
this
so it's
has
gonna be like
this
this.
has a Velcro. Actually, these peel off, and you stick it on the top of the cooler. And you can also put it on the outside of the cooler.
Yeah.
If you want to, you stick it to the outside of the cooler, and that way stuff gets to stay in there.
That's
Or
cool.
inside. So it's a pretty cool thing to have.
That'll fit
It
inside my
adds-
Yeti.
and especially the coolers these days are getting fatter and thicker walls. You can put less stuff in them with the ice. So this is actually adds you some more cargo area.
I like it. What else you got, Dave?
Well, these are the Flicker Shads from Berkeley. Now, these are the Flicker Shad Pros. This is a new version. There was a fellow that made these, Dr. Keith Jones. He made a book called Knowing Bass, which, because we did the bass earlier, I recommend you guys, I failed to mention that, you should get that book and read it. It's called Knowing Bass. Go on Amazon. And he's the scientist at Berkeley who developed gulp and these little shads. And these shads, he says, mimic the bait fish perfectly. What they do is they put these things on tracks and run them around a track in front of a bunch of bass. And this design and this shape of all the ones that he tried, he was the most excited about. So, these Flicker Shad Pros are really cool little baits. If you're going to be fishing for bass, go ahead and pick some of those up because you're going to get a bite with them.
I like it.
We've also got some Seagar braids. I got some Smackdown, which is the tournament braid they have. It's this Seagar 30-pound here is incredibly thin diameter. It's really good for casting. It's got like a 4-pound test diameter, which is amazing with a 30-pound braid. That tournament, it's just really good for making very long casts. Now that's called the Smackdown. And then they also make a Kansan, which is a more abrasion resistant and a little thicker diameter. This is gonna last longer in rocks and whatnot. This stuff, they're both very round, so they both cast well. This actually is made from 8 braids of line inside. So the Smackdown, so it gets very, very good tensile strength for how small it is, but the Kansan is more durable.
Tell me about the AFCOs.
Well, you know, AFCO made their name making fishing shorts. You know, back in the day, the AFCO fishing short was the king of all. Well, this is their new Salvo board short style.
I have them.
These are very nice. What I like about them is they're made out of that stretch fabric. They stretch in 2 different ways, so you can get a really good range of motion. They've also got tons of pockets, but not only do they have a good pocket with a top closure with Velcro, but they all have zips.
Right.
You know, because, you know, bad thing about these shorts, a lot of times you can get loose stuff. And they also have a good zipper. I like to have a zipper in the front so the Velcro, because, you know, doesn't mess with
the plier pocket.
Yep, and they have a good plier pocket as well. It's lined with Cordura on the other side there, so you can put your pliers in there. You don't have to worry about them getting messed up.
Now, the other thing that the new AFCO shorts have, Dave, is they have this material that prevents the bacteria.
Correct.
So
supposedly,
it's like a charcoal.
I don't know if it's going to keep it off
inside.
me, but we'll try.
Well, we have to try. What about the shirt here?
Yeah, they also have the AFCO Angler Performance shirt, made out of a super wicking material, incredibly lightweight, so you're not going to sweat like a pig in it. But if you do, it'll wick right off you and keeps you really cool. Dries incredibly fast. We're always getting drenched in the cockpit, so it's good to have something to dry. And also use the long sleeve shirts because you know you want to stay out of the sun and it keeps you cooler, believe it or not, with a long sleeve. You never see an Arab fellow walking around in the desert with a wife beater on. He's always covered up. So
all right, Dave.
Cover up.
Hey, I want to tell you about the Yamaha Sales Summer Event. It's called Wake Up the Season Sales Event. It started May 1st. It goes through June 17th, Dave. And the reason why I think this is important for you is because I know you're a little motor guy. And this applies to anybody who wants to buy a smaller motor. We're talking about 2.5 horsepower right on up to 115. We got all kinds of dealer incentives with 4-stroke outboards. So go to Yamaha.com and find out all you need to know about any question that you have. And I have a question for you, Brie. It's time for us to go to the Southwest region, so let's go.
Sounds good to me. Hey guys, those AFCO shorts? Just saying. Okay, those are nice. Our captain from the Southwest region, Ron Houston, is on the line and needs your utmost attention. I had fun fishing with you this past weekend, Ronnie.
Just saying.
Just saying.
You know, when it comes to bass fishing in my region, you know, you want to concentrate on fishing freshwater canals, lakes, rock pits, ponds, golf courses, culvert runoffs, also on the freshwater sides of the spillways, especially in the rainy season when the gates are open. That's probably when the most baits get washed through the current, and you want to be on the backside. In the areas I mentioned, also fish rock piles, undercuts, fallen trees, lily pads, sawgrass hedges, and hydrilla. Look for baits like minnows, brim, oscars, and mud minnows. Now, a great time to locate these fish is when water starts to drop, especially this time of year. Probably the easiest way for the beginner to go out and catch these fish is always wild shiners. But a variety of spinner baits, buzz baits, topwater plugs, lip crankbaits, swim baits. But when it comes to the soft plastics, there's none better than the Bass Assassin. He offers a variety of lures to get the job done, including die dappers, little tappers, fat jobs, tap outs, rail worms, craws, umbrella rigs, worms, shads, and also bang scented products, as well as bang aerosol. Most common colors are June bug, watermelon, motor oil, purple, black, and white. And most bass in the region are 1.5 to 6 pounds, with fish from 7 to 12 pounds. When I get the opportunity, that's how I grew up fishing and converted over to saltwater. I always like to get out and do some bass fishing. Just because you have a bay boat doesn't mean you can't get out there and do it. This is some of the ways that bass are caught in the region. Now, on the inshore side, the trout. I want to concentrate right now from Redfish Pass to Tarpon Key along the west side on the lower stage of the tide.
Now, in the last couple of days, I noticed there's probably some kind of an algae bloom or something going on, and a bunch of floating weed on top of the water, and the western side has been better. You want to concentrate on the lower stages of the tide, early morning to mid-morning, incoming in depths of 2 to 5 foot of water, which bite was better on the lower stages. Look for areas holding small minnows and pinfish, drifting the wind, especially in areas where pelicans are diving. Baits of choice are topwater plugs in red and white, also chrome, and the Bass Assassin Oval Quick Court with foreign sea shads and sexy shad or hamatamic color. Live shrimp under popping corks is another option, but plenty of opportunity to catch some trout, and did catch some trout up to 25 inches. Now, on the offshore side, things are really heating up for the permits all through the region, but there's been abundant now all through the region, especially with the water temps. Fish from Gordon's Pass to Pavilion Key, concentrate on rock piles or wrecks 6 to 20 miles out, drifting across, around, or anchoring up. Look for fish on the top or on your bottom finder. Best baits are live crabs, live shrimp, bucktails tipped, or small swim baits with a steady retrieve. If all else fails, use the swim baits. Right now, fish are averaging 12 to 30 pounds, and like I say, they are all through the region. Now, with the temps heating up, the mangrove snapper bite, Winger's Pass, the redfish pass, and most wrecks and ledges, 6 to 14 miles out, relatively simple. Make sure you have some chum. Chumming has been the key, especially if you can draw these fish away. Once you draw them away, relatively simple again. Once located, small cut bait, shrimp, herring, pilchard, squid, and pinfish drift have all been working well. I did have the pleasure of fishing with Brie over the weekend. I want to tell you, Brie, for a lady angler, you impressed me, and you did an outstanding job.
Oh, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ronnie.
You made my year.
What a great report from the CCA Southwest region. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Florida Outdoor Experience hotspots from the Southwest region. Inshore, Redfish, Coon Key to Indian Key, early in the morning incoming on the outer Gulf points, using gold spoons and walk the dog lures. And then offshore, Cobia's Big Marco Pass to Sanibel, fish nearshore wrecks, use live large eels, baits, and chuggers and artificials. How about it? He got you. He got you.
Okay, we have 2 more exciting reports coming up next from the Central, East, and Northwest regions, so keep that bass in that seat, and we'll be right back.
Keep the bass in the seat.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, find new roads. Alukai, fit by nature, crafted by hand. Best parts, best prices. Bennett Auto Supply. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Startron. Cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. And Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
his truck, and a very eligible bachelor. And lonely hearts. And romance in the air. And hello, ladies. The new Chevy Silverado Heavy Duty, strong for all the roads ahead.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
I'm Captain Rick Murphy, and I'm a life member of CCA. Why am I so involved with CCA, you ask? Because I want our fisheries to be in better shape for my kids and their kids. CCA is working to ensure the future of recreational fisheries and the rights of recreational anglers. The future of fishing starts today with you. How do you want to leave things with your kids? If you're like me, you'll want to make the right choice and go to joinccaflorida.com right now.
For weekly reports from our 9 captains and our latest events, make sure to check out our website at theChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com. You can also like us on Facebook and even send us your photos, plus follow us on Instagram at Captain Rick Murphy and Official Insider. But now we are going to say hi to Captain Jim Ross in the Central East region with this week's offering if you want to do some bass fishing. Hey, Jim.
Well, hey, how are you guys doing in the studio tonight?
Doing great.
Pretty good.
It's fantastic. You know what? Bass fishing is one of my all-time favorites. I did it growing up as a kid, and I still love to do it now. But, you know, the guys in my region, if you're going to fish, you really need to look at the 2 main areas of water that flow through this region. And one is the St. Johns River Basin, and it goes, starts down all the way down at the Stick Marsh and goes, of course, all the way through to Russell Theron's region. But basically, we look at the Stick Marsh through the Lake Toho area. And then you've also got the Kissimmee River Basin, and that has a whole nother system all into itself. And some of those little places that you don't even think about sometimes, like South Lake or Lake Dora, all of them have some really large lunker bass in them. And if you want to get a big bass, live shiners are the best way to go. You can put them under a float and let them bird dog around the coontail moss or the cattails or the lily pads, and that's where those big bass are going to be hiding. But you know what? Topwater plugs, soft plastic jerk baits, and lipped diving plugs. And let me tell you about lip diving plugs. There's a new one from Rapala called the Scatter Wrap. The minnow version of that plug is absolutely dynamite. If you cannot fish, if you don't know what end of the rod you're supposed to hold on to, if you get one of these and go cast it and you pull it in the right places, you're going to catch a bass because that thing flat out works. Now, dawn and dusk is the best time for throwing artificials. Obviously, through the middle of the day is best for the regular live shiners. But our average fish is going to be about 2 pounds. But we get fish to 14 pounds, especially during the peak season in January through April. So we're just past it, but we're still getting some good bass right now. Now, you know what? I kind of threw everything to the offshore report this week because the inshore report kind of died. So we're going to start with tarpon, and the tarpon run right now is wide open. The fish are cruising the beaches and they're roaming the lagoons. Now, the fish in the lagoons are biting finger mullet. The fish on the beach are biting pogies. So you're going to want to slow troll or drift these in the areas where you see the tarpon rolling. Now, for the inshore fish, a 5/0 size VMC circle hook. The offshore fish, an 8/0 or a 9/0 size VMC circle hook. You want to use a 50 to 80 pound leader, especially the Suffix fluorocarbon leader right now, because that's going to be able to allow you to get those baits to those fish without them seeing the leader. A 15 to 40 pound main line works really good. Or, you can also use 100 to 150 yards of monofilament, like a 30 to 50 pound test Suffix under that, and a 15 to 40 over the top of it. It creates a lot of shock, a lot of stretch, and it allows you to keep those fish from jumping off and spitting the hook. Our average lagoon tarpon is running about 10 to 80 pounds. Our beach tarpon are running a little bit bigger, 50 to 150 pounds. Now, here's a really, really nice fish that I caught with Kerry Brown the other day. This one was right off of the pier at the Port Canaveral area, at Cocoa Beach area. Fantastic fishing out there right now. So if you guys and gals can get a chance to get out there, this is your best opportunity to catch you one of those bigger tarpon. Now, staying offshore, the king mackerel bite was really, really good earlier in the week. It slowed down just a little bit, but what has happened is most of the fish have moved off of those 60 to 90-foot depths, and they've moved into the 15 to 50-foot depths. Wherever there's clean green water and bait, you're going to find king mackerel this week. If you find dirtier water, move around until you find the clean green stuff. Average king mackerel is running about 15 pounds to about 25 pounds right now. Now, the last species that I'm going to talk about in my report, Rick, is the grouper. And artificial reefs and wrecks hold grouper pretty much year-round in the Central East region, but right now, 120 to 150-foot depths are doing pretty good, and then 180 out to 250 are doing pretty good as well. And what you want to look for is you want to look for bait fish stacked up over the tops of those reefs and wrecks. So live pinfish and live pogies are great bait choices. If you're an aggressive angler, you like working lures and stuff, though, I'm telling you that Williamson Vortex or that Benthos model jig is working really good, especially on that 180 to 250-foot stuff. And if you get glow on on those Williamson jigs, you're going to have a better shot at catching fish on those deeper wrecks. The inside, it doesn't quite matter as much. Chrome and black, chrome and yellow will work real good in there. Average gag grouper right now is running from 10 to 15 pounds, and I've seen some really nice ones. I saw one this week that was almost 30 pounds, guys.
Wow, that's a good one. Hey, Jim, I do have a question for you. The question is, you didn't talk about trout or redfish. How's that fishing doing?
Well, it really slowed down, and that's why I kind of skipped it this week, Rick. Everybody that I've talked to has had a lot of problems trying to find a concentration of fish, with the exception of a very, very small portion of the Mosquito Lagoon and a very small portion between Vero Beach and Sebastian, where the fish down in the Vero to Sebastian area seem to be holding around docks and mangroves, and the fish in the northern part of the Mosquito Lagoon seem to be holding on the outer drop-offs and bars. But the rest of it was just a real struggle this week to get any good quality fish from most of the guys I talked to.
All right, well, thanks for giving us that a little extra on the redfish and the trout. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hookup lures hotspots from the Central East region. Captain Jim says inshore docks on the west side of the Indian River for the Sebastian Indian to Vero, to snook, and the trout. All right, use live shrimp or fingerling mullet on VMC circle hooks, and then offshore sharks, tarpon, jacks, kingfish, and 20 to 50 feet of water. And then you're going to use live pogies on a wire stinger rig.
Oh,
you got me. I thought
jellyfish
you always
and
go
diver
down.
Okay,
You
now
got
we're
me,
talking with Captain Jeff Hageman, who has the best report for us. Why aren't you letting me talk? In the Northwest region. Go ahead.
Because you can't. Get her, Jeff.
We got thousands of lakes in my region and lots of good bass fishing. Most of our bigger fish, like Jim was talking about earlier, are usually caught in the winter months. That's when the fish are spawning, and that's when they group up and you're going to catch those bigger fish. Most of the guys are going to, when they're fishing for them that time of year, they're going to be pulling either dragging shiners behind the back of the boat, or they're going to be fishing beds. Great way to fish them. A lot of guys put ladders on the front of their boats, get up in the trolling motor, have a guy run the trolling motor, another guy on the ladder, and actually pitch baits into the beds. But pulling shiners behind the boat is something everybody can do. You don't have to have a ladder and don't have to worry about falling when you're up in that makeshift tower. But pulling shiners behind the boat's really effective. Plastic worms, hard baits are all really effective. And Lake Tarpon has got a kind of a unique fishery. Some of the guys in Lake Tarpon will actually catch live shad. They'll go out and mark them with a bottom machine, throw the cast net on them, and they'll use a mixture of this blue gel that they put in the water to keep the shad alive, and put air into them, and actually have oxygen tanks on them, and they'll chum them up just like they're doing, like we do snook fishing in saltwater. So it's kind of a unique fishery in Lake Tarpon that not a lot of people do and not a lot of people get to see, but they have some great days doing that when the fish are really aggressive and popping up top, and they can catch, anywhere from 100 to 110 fish on an average a day when they're chumming like that. But check with Park and Rec. We got a lot of places in parks in our area you can go fishing. You don't need to have a boat to go do it. It's something that kids can go do. It's something everybody can go do right off the bat.
All right, tell me about the snook, bub.
Snook, Captain Mario Costello out of Crystal River reports that he's been seeing more and more snook along the long bars and rocky shorelines from anywhere from Yankeetown to Ozello. The snook are staging right now for their spawn, and they're feeding them pretty aggressively on pretty much every stage of the tide. He's throwing stick minnows made by Unfair Lures along the bar on the lower stages of the tide. And he's throwing a DOA cow with a quarter ounce or eighth ounce jig head on the higher stages of the tide. You want to work them slowly along the edges, going from shallow to deep. Natural colors in both of those baits are working best, and the fish are averaging right now from anywhere from 28 to 34 inches. Got a picture there of a West Coast snook caught with me offshore, actually, while we were permit fishing last week.
Man, that's a good one.
In there. Mangrove snapper went offshore in our region right now. Seems to be everywhere throughout our region. These fish are right now, next month or so, are going to get ready to spawn. So they're all going to be grouping up, getting in bigger numbers, anywhere from 8 to 80 feet of water. We've got them on any kind of high relief structure, rock pile, reef, wreck, anything that's got any kind of structure to it will hold mangrove snapper. Now, mangrove snapper have a really good eyesight, so light fluorocarbon leader is a must. The smallest that can get away with, one free line baits work really good. A lot of chum. You can bring these fish off the bottom, bring them up to you, bring them right behind the back of the boat, put a chum bag out, start cutting up some pieces of chum, and just kind of flick them off the back of the boat. You can bring those fish right off the wreck. Most of our fish right now are averaging anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds, and the occasional, those fish out deeper, you get those 4, 5, and 6 pound fish out there right now. And in the next couple months and the next couple moons, those fish, like I said, will be concentrating more and more and getting in bigger groups ready for that spawn. Also offshore, our gag grouper bite throughout the region right now. These seem to be everywhere. I don't know why the closure is happening, but we've got lots and lots of grouper. Ledges, flat rock, anything that's got any kind of structure right now is holding grouper. Magic number for depth has been right now from 75 to 120 feet of water. Pinfish, pet sardines on a standing bottom rig right now. Fish up to 25 pounds are being caught pretty consistently. They're averaging anywhere from 3 to 12. You want to use some heavy gear because we got a lot of big fish out there right now. 60 to 80 pound main line, 100 to 125 Suffolk fluorocarbon leaders, really good leader. You want a heavy action rod, a 6/0 to a 9/0 circle hook, depending on the size of the bait you're using, and 6 to 8 ounces of lead on that bottom rig, depending on how much tide you've got.
All right, great report from the Yeti Northwest region, Jeff. I appreciate you very much. And we're going to go to the Drummond Community Bank hotspots from the Northwest region. Inshore, snook in the passes along the beaches. Use pinfish and sardines for bait. And then offshore, snapper on the high relief structures on 8 to 40 feet of water. Use shrimp and sardines with a light lead.
Do you know you do that a lot?
I do it.
I was copying you.
You know what? Because my hands are, actually I put a little lotion on them.
Disgusting.
No, I put a little lotion on them. And I'm not used to how they feel with lotion.
Okay, well, anglers, we have one more region to go. Stick around for the Conservation Minute and the report for the Southeast region right here on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. And Rick.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. Tires Plus, Total Car Care. The IGFA, Conservation Through Education. Get your hands wet. Florida Outdoor Experience. Lumber Rock. Captain Harry's Fishing Supply Company.
Introducing Helmmaster, Yamaha's first fully integrated digital boat control system. With Helmmaster, you can start your outboards with a swipe of a paw and control them with a single lever. Outboard trim and steering friction adjust automatically as you accelerate and decelerate. Adjust engine speed with the touch of a button. The Helmmaster joystick provides the means to navigate and dock precisely with confidence and ease. Take control of your next vessel with Helmmaster at your command.
Casa Vieja Lodge, Guatemala.
StarTron is a multifunctional fuel additive that uses enzyme technology. StarTron cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Engines powered by StarTron treated fuel start easily and run smoothly with fewer emissions and better fuel economy. StarTron restores octane to old substandard fuel. StarTron's enzyme formula enhances combustion for a more complete fuel burn. StarTron, it's not the engine, it's the fuel.
The Chevrolet Cruze, loved in 119 countries around the world. Proof we're not so different after all. It's the new world.
I'm Rick Murphy, and fishing throughout Florida, the fishing capital world, is my passion. There's nothing better than landing a trophy bass except releasing it. Florida Trophy Catch Program allows you to reward yourself for releasing bass over 8 pounds. Hey, you saltwater anglers, you need to get a freshwater fishing license. Bass fishing is a great option when the weather isn't cooperating offshore. Besides, simply going to trophycatchflorida.com and registering makes you eligible for drawing of a bass boat. And the next time you catch a bass over 8 pounds in Florida, photograph it showing the entire fish on the scale, release it, and get rewarded. Prizes start with $50 gift cards provided by Rapala, Experience Kissimmee, and many more. And if the bass is over 13 pounds, it could be worth more than $1,000 in prizes to you, including a free fiberglass mount. Reward yourself for releasing bass over 8 pounds anywhere in Florida. You'll be helping the FWC ensure Florida is the bass fishing capital of the world today and tomorrow.
Welcome back, and last but not least, we have Captain Jimbo Thomas with the last report of the night coming from you from the Southwest region.
You do this, and I do this.
It's because my back hurts.
Is that what it is? From pulling on those big tarpon yesterday?
Yeah!
All right, so
Woo!
tell Jimbo.
Jimbo.
Yes.
She caught big tarpon yesterday. Tell us about what's going on in your region.
Okay, well, here we go. Well, bass can be found anywhere there is fresh water here in the southeast region. All of the lakes and canals, as well as the Everglades, are great places to look for largemouth bass. And then in the south end of the region, there's also peacock bass. The largemouth bass fishing has been excellent in the Everglades due to the low water levels that has the fish concentrated in the canals and the deeper holes. The best bite is going to be early in the morning and then late in the afternoon and into the evening using Bass Assassin worms rigged wacky or Texas style, and crankbaits, live shiners, and spinnerbaits. They're also working. Now, the best peacock bass fishing is going to be in the urban canal and lake system of Dade County. And unlike those largemouth bass that generally feed best in the evening, the peacock bass bite best in the middle of the day when the sun is really up high. Now, the peacocks also prefer clear water, and the first bait of choice is a live minnow or shiner, and then second are Rapala shad wraps and DOA terrorize in dark colors. There's also, there's plenty of days that we don't want to or we can't make it offshore because the weather's too rough, but you can always find a calm spot to go out there and catch bass. Now, I got a photo here. This week's Thomas Flyer T-shirt goes to Jake Starks with his monster bass he caught with his father, Captain Neil Stark. Now, next week's theme species is sea trout. Check out Thomas Flyer Facebook page. See how you can win your own Thomas Flyer tee. Now, staying inshore, tarpon fishing has been excellent in the last week. There's been some fish in the inlets, but the bridges of the Intercoastal Waterway have been the hot spots. The tarpon have been feeding around the bridges in the evenings on the outgoing tide. Now, if you can see a current rip or color change, that's where these tarpon are most likely going to be feeding. You want to drift live crabs or shrimp back to them along the shadow lines. Swimming plugs and lures have also been getting bites as well. There's also been tarpon moving on the flats. Our good friend Captain Joe Gonzalez, he's been finding the fish on the outside flats from Sands Cut south to Angelfish Creek. He's been having the most success on the last of the outgoing tide. He's been casting small toad flies, and he's also been seeing permit on these same flats. Got a photo here. This is Carlos Carta from Miami with the Biscayne Bay tarpon he caught with Captain Joe Gonzalez. Now, moving offshore, there's been plenty of blackfin tuna around the whole region, but the north end from Boca Inlet to Lake Worth Inlet has been seeing the best action. These 25 to 30-pound tunas are being caught in 120 to 180 feet of water on live herrings and pilchards, drifted or fished under the kite. The most productive fishing is going to be in the areas that you find good north current and blue water, and then late in the afternoon. Our good friend Captain Art Sapp aboard the Native Sun, he's been catching the blackfins on live herrings in 130 feet of water off Hillsborough Inlet. He says it's some of the best blackfin tuna he's ever seen. While down here in the Miami area, it's just been so-so. I got a picture here of Jack Houlihan with a 40-pound dolphin caught off Miami. So that's a good thing. We're starting to see some big dolphins show up.
What a good-looking kid there. He looks just like his mom.
I guess so. I'll take your word for that one.
All right.
So, all right, staying offshore. The weather's been nice, and it's been making it easy to get offshore. There's been quite a few swordfish caught in the last week. There's been swords up to 400 pounds caught throughout the region, both in the day and the nighttime. In the daytime, the fish are being caught near the bottom in 1,500 to 2,000 feet of water on squid, bonita strip, and dolphin bellies. And from my experience with these swords, they're not real picky eaters, so just about any bait you drop down is going to get a bite, if they're there, that is. When you are out there in the daytime, it's always a good idea to put a couple of live or rigged baits out on the surface for any of those 40-pound dolphin that might swim by, or we'll even take 10-pounders for that matter. And then if you're out there at night, when the swords come up to the surface to feed, They're being caught in 1,400 to 1,800 feet of water on rig squid, live blue runners, and speedos. And in the daytime, we only fish one rod on the bottom, but at night you can fish a spread of bait staggered at different depths, anywhere from the surface on down to 400 to 500 feet.
Hey, Jimbo, I got a quick question for you. You know, 2 years ago, there was lots of guys that were doing the daytime sword fishing, and pretty much all those fish that were being caught were being killed. What's the practice today?
Well, I believe most of them are being killed. That's not something I do on a regular basis, although I've caught a lot of them. But if they're legal size, they're usually coming back to the dock from what I've seen. If they're not, we're letting them go.
All right, good job, Jimbo. We appreciate all your hard work every week and also batting up, clean up for us this week. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Southeast Hotspots by Captain Jimbo Thomas. Inshore, hit the urban canal systems of the South Dade by boat or foot. Fish live minnows and artificials for largemouth bass in the morning and peacocks in the afternoon, and then offshore. Load up the live bait and fish in 100 to 200 feet of water late in the afternoon for blackfin tunas, sailfish, and kings. Brie?
I'm going to have to say sorry to Jimbo for that botched intro, but it was totally his fault.
It's always my fault.
Of course it is. All right, on June 14th, the Homestead South Dade Kiwanis Club is having their 30th annual Ed Glenn's Dolphin Days tournament with total prize money exceeding $30,000. Kids fish for free. And of course, we can't forget to mention the Captain's Party happening on June 12th, so make sure you check it out. But faithful fish fans, I stole it from Randy. He's gonna get mad at me. When we come back, we'll reveal next week's species and talk a little Memorial Weekend gossip coming up on the Chevy, Florida Insider Fishing Report.
A man and his truck, and tofu,
Express yourself.
and veggie burgers, and raw kale salads.
Express yourself.
All fine, just not today.
Whatever you do,
Introducing High Country, the premium Silverado.
do it good.
Silverado, 2014 North American Truck of the Year.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline four-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
It's been said that a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. But down here in the Florida Keys, we have to disagree. Because with over 200 of the world's best charter boat captains and guides, there's no such thing as a bad day of fishing. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to keep up with all of our captains, contests, and appearances. You don't ever have to miss a show. You can find full episodes of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report right on your YouTube channel. And don't forget to check out our website for fishing reports in your region. Visit www.ChevyFloridaInsiderFishingReport.com where you'll find everything you need to know to stay connected. Next week on the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report, we are talking trout. Make sure Trout. You always chime in. Make sure to tune in to SunSports every Thursday. Plus, you can catch repeats of the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report on Fridays and Saturdays. Check your local listings for times.
So we were filming a Sportsman's Adventure episode yesterday for 2015.
Yeah.
Brie and I, and
She
I
caught a
want.
tarpon.
Not only did she catch her first one, she caught her second one, she caught her third one, she caught her fourth one, and she caught her fifth one.
That's
Guess what?
5 tarpon
The
in a
fifth
day.
one was 110 pounds of ass whooping, and now she's walking bent over.
We're back. That's why I was swaying all night, if any of you
That's why
wanted
you
to
leave
know.
those big old herrings alone,
Hey,
man. Those things are
you know
crush
what?
you like a grape.
Sun's out?
Sun's out, guns out. And
That's
you know
no.
what? You'll have to watch, but sun's out, guns out, and buns was out.
No, they weren't.
So guys are going to have to watch.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
What are you doing this
man.
weekend?
Me? I'm going fishing.
All right.
I'm going bass fishing.
Shocker.
Yep. What you doing?
I don't know yet.
All right.
Fishing
Well, I know
probably.
one thing all three of us got to do.
Say
Y'all got to say goodbye.
bye-bye.
Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate
See
it.
ya.
Hey, and don't
See you
forget to
next
catch
week.
Sportsman's
See ya.
Adventures right after this show. Good job, Brie. Good job.